Hello everyone, my name is Miranda. I'm a narrative designer on the Overwatch team.
And my name is Geoff. I'm the lead hero designer on the Overwatch team.
And we're here to talk to you a bit about our new hero, Sojourn.
Sojourn. Engaging.
She's our newest DPS hero, and I figure I can kick us off by talking a little bit about her story. Sojourn is a hero who is obviously no stranger to combat. She got her start in the Canadian military, and eventually was so successful there that she joined up with Overwatch. Fans will probably remember Sojourn from the Archives Storm Rising mission where she led a bunch of our heroes through.
Target in sight, Captain. We've waited a long time for Maximilian to show his face.
She is a captain in Overwatch who is very much respected by a lot of heroes in our cast. But something people might not know about Sojourn is that she actually had a pretty big role to play during the United Nations hearings that would eventually lead to Overwatch disbanding and being shut down. And after that happened, Sojourn eventually retired to her home in Toronto. As we know, Overwatch heroes and retirement don't necessarily agree with one another, so I'm very excited for everybody to learn a little bit about what she's been up to in the time after that. We have a cinematic in development that I think people are really going to love that goes into this a bit more. Sojourn is just a brilliant tactician, a great leader, and I can't wait for everybody to get the chance to meet her. Geoff, why don't you tell us a little bit about her hero kit?
Sure. So we start working on the hero, we sort of have to pick an element to sort of surround the hero with. In the past, we've had some heroes rally around a weapon, especially in the early days, such as Widowmaker, sniper, Pharah with a rocket launcher, etc. So we really were looking at different weapon types that we haven't explored yet in Overwatch, and I think the number one idea that came up that we all loved was this idea of a railgun.
Railgun powered and ready to fire.
That was pretty much all that needed to be said. So try putting the typical railgun from other games in and just see how it goes. And it turns out the ability to fire really accurate, high-powered shots just constantly, all the time, was kind of just a balanced nightmare and not really doable. But we really liked the gameplay, and we ended up with her gun as it is now, which I'll go through her whole kit here right now. Her primary fire is actually like a rapid-fire spread of projectiles. It isn't a railgun, but it builds up an energy bar that you can expend at any time to shoot a railgun shot off of your alternate fire. So you still get that really powerful shot, but just not quite as frequently as a normal railgun. And once we got that in place, we, playing around with a lot of different other abilities that she could have that could complement this and what could make her really fun. And we were trying to capture sort of the really fun and fast play style of railguns in the past and other first-person shooters. So one ability we tried pretty early and actually just stuck with all the way through was her slide ability. And the way that works is she can just slide anytime she wants, any direction she wants. And it goes really far and really fast, and she can fire during all this. So you get these really cool moments where you can slide around a corner and try to finish somebody off or get that railgun shot off after you've built up the whole meter. Also, attached to this, you can jump during this slide and get like a super big jump off of it too. So in a lot of ways, you can get a lot of like vertical mobility out of this, jump on top of rooftops or over a wall. Pretty quickly on playtest, we got a lot of really cool like high flying shots, jumping over a wall and surprising people with her full railgun charge and everything. So that really helps her get this really fast gameplay style. And then her secondary ability is called Disruptor Shot. This is a projectile that fires out and expands into sort of an energy field that can slow enemies that are caught in it. And does damage to them if they stay inside of it. It's a really fun combination, especially because of that slow. If you slide around a corner and drop a disruptor shot on people and they're trying to scatter and get away, but they're slowed, it makes it a lot easier to line up those really powerful railgun shots. Or a lot of times we'll see people land a really good shot, and then the person will get away with a little bit of health, and they'll be around the corner, and you fire the disruptor shot around the corner, and it kind of explodes around and takes them out. So there's a lot of really fun combinations with all of these abilities to sort of create really fun moments. And then her ultimate is, we were deciding her ultimate. We had a couple different things we tried in the past. One of the original ones we tried was this big railgun shot that just went through the whole map. It was almost like an instant Hanzo Dragon ultimate, which was it didn't go over super well, so that one ended up getting cut. But what we ended up going with was, when we call it Overclock, we all kind of fell in love with this. And the way this works is it kind of just turns on a mode where her energy is just constantly filling itself for her railgun, so she no longer has to fire their primary fire to fill it up. So she can actually just kind of fire a ton of railgun shots back to back to back for at least this limited window. Even though earlier I said it was pretty overpowered just to be able to shoot a railgun all the time. Well, I mean, for that limited amount of time, she gets to do it. So I think what we've seen in playtests is she just takes a little bit of time to get used to, I think, the ebb and flow of when you should use your railgun shot and when you're not. But man, she's a ton of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Something that I think is really interesting about Sojourn's abilities is that all of them are sort of derived from her cybernetics. She kind of reminds me a lot of Genji, who is similarly a very cybernetics-based hero. Sojourn has had a ton of her body replaced with these cybernetic parts, both out of necessity at certain points in her life, but also in some cases out of her own interest, which, like, I imagine the rocket legs were probably something she thought were pretty fun. And I agree, but I think that it's really cool, not only from a story perspective, but from her gameplay, because so many of her abilities actually come from within her, like her disruptor shot, her power slide, obviously. Even her overclock is a function of her cybernetics, and I think that's very exciting. So
yeah, that actually reminds me when we were first coming up with what her kind of visual look would be. And I remember one of these meetings we were talking about her disruptor shot, how that was going to come out. There were a lot of ideas about should it, be a throne, or should it be something that comes out of her wrist or something, kind of like Farah's concussive rocket. But I remember we were in this meeting looking at all these ideas from the animation pit, and there was kind of like a last one. It was like, we did all that. Here's some crazy stuff. We have these crazy ideas too. And it was like, the first one was like what we ended up going with, which is like the full arm, like hand that comes out of her, like and I was like, oh my, wow. Like, yeah, so that was it. Actually, sort of like wowed everybody in the room. We're like, okay, we're doing that.
Yeah,
that's
I
great.
don't want to see the other ones.
Yeah, exactly. So that was fantastic. And we've gotten some play on her already in the alpha, and the feedback has been fantastic. And once we get the beta rolling, which is coming up pretty soon, I think we're going to get this many more people in there and get a lot more eyes on it. And I think you guys are really going to love her.
Yeah, I think it's really cool to see people actually getting their hands on her, because like it's one thing for all of us to play it, but it's another thing entirely for a broader audience to play. So yeah, I'm really excited for people to get a chance to play her. I'm really excited as well to see how she sort of relates and fits in with the larger cast of heroes in Overwatch. The amount of established relationships that we get a little bit of insight into. She is somebody who kind of reminds me of Ana. So Ana obviously was our first new hero, and even though she was a new hero, she had so many relationships existing with our hero roster that she felt very natural, and I think Sojourn's pretty similar. Obviously, she was a member of Overwatch, so she has a lot of connections there that she plays on all through her kit and her voice lines. And I think people are going to have a ton of fun digging into her connections, who she is familiar with, who she's against, and I think it'll be really interesting for people to get a taste of her personality there. And I think something else that I know the rest of the team is very excited about is always adding new voices to Overwatch. I think it's really cool and really awesome to expand our horizons in terms of what our perspectives are and the number of people we're representing in our game. So I really think that this is something the team has been hoping for a very long time, and I'm really excited for everybody to get to meet her.
So that about wraps it up for Sojourn. We can't wait for you all to play her. See you next time.